What's up, everyone? This is Max with Wars to the Woods. Today I wanted to do a video on a budget target bow build. Something that can be used for competitions, whether it be 3D, indoor, but not for hunting. The reason I wanted to do that is because when I wanted to get into the competition bow shooting, I didn't want to have to switch everything between my hunting bow and a target bow between the seasons. So, and I didn't want to drop a bunch of money on, some of the Hoyts or the Bowtechs, like the Invicta or the Reckoning, when it came to just a bare bow. I was trying to do something on a budget in order to have essentially two bows. One that I hunt with, it's strictly for hunting, and the other one that I can mess around with and do a little bit of 3D or target shooting. I ended up shooting in the TAC a couple weeks ago in Seven Springs, PA, and I used my hunting bow for that just because it was a little easier to carry around, and I wanted to get that more dialed in for the upcoming hunting season. But when I was looking to start in this world of competition shooting, I couldn't find anything on, some good options for budget bows or some sort of budget build. So I kind of wanted to make a video on it because there wasn't anything out there that I could find. And like I said, I didn't want to have to switch everything out. So when it comes to the competition shooting, a lot of people are shooting bigger diameter arrows, different rests, different sights, different stabilizers. Their poundage is set a little bit lower because you're shooting over and over and over again. So I didn't want to have to switch out my bow every single time or every season and change things up. So I wanted to find that nice, cheap option to have something that I can mess with in each realm. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this bow. This is a Daibow Reliance. So I believe it's made by the same guy who started 30-06 Outdoors. When you Google Daibow, 10-point comes up where they have the 10-point crossbows along with some other things that they sell. This bow itself is actually really, really nice for the price that it was. So some of those Hoyt Invictas or the Bowtech Reckonings that I shot, even the Matthews TRX, those are upwards of $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 just for the bare bow. So when I started with this, I wanted to find a bow that was cheap, but I could add the accessories and take the accessories from one bow to another because I know that the accessories will work for me. So this bow itself is the Daibow Reliance. It's a 38-inch axle to axle. It has some decent tuning capabilities out of the box. Specifically for the cable guard, you can move that in and out depending on the type of arrow and fletchings you're shooting. It doesn't have anything like the SES or the deadlock system from Bowtech, but it is a pretty easy to use. It's an aluminum riser, so it's actually a very light bow. The only thing I didn't like with the aluminum riser, which is pretty much all target bows across the board, is the grip. How the grip is also aluminum as well, and I tend to sweat a lot, so I put this Torna grip tape on, what they use on tennis rackets. You can get it at Walmart for like $4 a roll. And it works really well, helps out a lot with the other thing, like I said, the cable guard itself can be adjusted. The cable guard itself can be adjusted to move in and out depending on where your arrow is sitting and where the fletchings are sitting, depending on the size that you're using. So that's also pretty convenient. This bow's set at 60 pounds and it's a 30-inch draw. It also is a 38-inch axle to axle, so it's a little bit bigger than my Matthews Traverse that I shoot for hunting. So I wanted something that was obviously longer for that target bow feel, something a little bigger. The other thing I like about it as well is it's very easy to change the draw length. So if I end up letting a buddy use it or need to change it, it's as quick as just removing a screw, turning the knob, and getting your draw length set a little bit better. The bow itself is about, this bow itself was $5.99, so already it's half the price of some of the other target bows out there. Again, I went into this knowing that I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money, as much as you get what you pay for. But I'm pleasantly impressed with this bow and the way it's been performing. I haven't shot too many competitions with it, just because I've been out with injuries and other stuff with work. But I go to the range pretty often, and I definitely shoot it a lot, and it's a very smooth shooting bow. So if you're interested in looking into competition shooting, but you don't want to spend $1,800 on just a bare bow, along with the accessories that differ from hunting to target shooting, this is a good option that you can move those accessories back and forth, or move them up to a more expensive bow later down the road. As for the accessories, let's start off with the stabilizers. So I ended up getting the stabilizers used from a friend. I have a 30-inch Shrewd ONYX here, carbon fiber, super nice bar, 30 inches. I ended up getting it used. Obviously the bars themselves, if you were to buy these brand new, are about $200 just for one bar. I also ended up getting the Beestinger from him as well. This is a 12-inch Beestinger. Again, I bought this in a package deal, so I was able to save a couple $100 just by getting the rear mount along with the two bars, the front and the back. For the front offset, he gave me that as well. It's a 10-degree offset. It's a Beestinger offset, so it's not really anything special. But having that offset on a nice longer axle to axle is a pretty nice option. So it's about a 10-degree offset, and then it's just the normal Beestinger back bar. This is actually the front bar mount to the back, but because this has a hole for the back, I just put it here, and I haven't bought anything new since, for the sheer fact that I was trying to just save some money. So for the bars, that's pretty simple. I bought those used. It just saved me another couple $100 on this whole overall build. As for the rest, I'm shooting a Hamskea Hybrid Target Pro. So really small blade on it, nice blade on it. It's micro adjust, so it's really good for getting that center shot and the knock tuning down, and bare shaft tuning. The center shot, or having the micro tune and micro adjust, makes it really easy, both up and down and side to side. Makes things very simple in order to get this thing really dialed in. Now for the sight, again, I knew that I was going to spend a decent amount of money when it came to the accessories, right? Because I knew I could take the accessories, move them from one bow to another. So I ended up buying the sight bar, which is a CBE Custom Bow Equipment Elevate. So this bar itself is really convenient, really nice. It's got the different sight tapes that come with it. So it's got a bag of 15, has a nice sight bar, has a white one on the inside for you to figure out what your sighting is. Basically, you shoot it at 30 yards, dial it in, make a mark on this white tape, shoot it at 60 yards, dial it in, make a mark on the white tape, and you use the red tape to match, and it'll tell you the scale that you need to use. Again, it has 15 different scales that it came with. It's a micro adjust again, so every click is 0.2 thousandths of an inch. So every time that you're off just by a millimeter, you can adjust this in order for it to make those very small micro adjustments. Super simple to use. It's a dovetail, so it's got nice cutouts on it, nice divots for it to sit in on the riser. When you put the dovetail part on the riser itself, it just stays on. This comes off really easy. Pretty lightweight, a little bit heavier in the front because all of this is actual metal where the rod is carbon fiber, but that's all right. It makes up for itself with the bars, and it's really not that big of a deal. You also have quick adjustments too, so if you need to go from 20 to like 60 or something, you can press this button on the top. It'll move itself up and down, or you have to move it up and down, but you can adjust it to where you're shooting at for those longer distances. And this was about $350, I think, when it came to the bar, or the sight bar itself. As for the scope, I got a single pin CBE, just a scope housing, a 32 millimeter scope housing. So nothing crazy. Right now there's no magnifiers in it, but it does have the option to put a magnifier in if you wanted to. It comes apart and you can stick one right inside. So again, that's pretty convenient. Currently I'm not running a magnifier. I'm just running it just bare like this with a regular pipe, peep. So no fanciness in there, just the scope housing itself. I wanted to try to maybe look at the like the ultra views or something like that, but I didn't want to spend the money, and I got this for pretty cheap. Hooks up very simply. You've got your connector here. This is just going to slide right in, and you're going to tighten down this screw, and then you have your housing and your scope all together. The thing I like about that is once you get it set with left and right, you can lock this pin down. You can lock down this pin, which is going to have your marks on it, and those marks, you're never going to change them. If you're good left to right, you don't really have to adjust it. You put this in and tighten down one screw, and you're ready to shoot. It makes it pretty easy to use. The sighting in process was a little bit of a challenge because I kept having some inconsistencies at 60, so trying to figure out what sight tape I needed was a little bit tougher. And then the last thing really for the arrows, I'm shooting the Black Eagle PS 26s. Those are, let me grab one real quick. That crazy, they're 26 diameter. I bought a pack of 6 of them and just wanted to try them out and test out how I liked them. They're 350 spined. They've got a nice heavy glue-in tip instead of a screw-on tip, so I don't have to worry about any of that coming off as I'm shooting these targets. But I used a Beestinger fletching tool to put these on, with a little bit of a helical. So really they're not too bad of the arrows. I think they're probably what most people shoot are the 26s or like 23s. I think you can go up to a 27 is the highest you can go for some of the competitions. I could be wrong, could be 28, but the 26s are what they told me to go with, so that's what I went with, and so far I haven't been very disappointed. All in all, this bow has, far exceeded my expectations when it came to performance based on the price of the bow itself. I haven't had any issues. I haven't had it long enough to really come across many issues, but in the 6-8 months I've had it, it's done really, really well. I think the riser on it is light. It's easy to hold. Everything flows really well together. And then, like I said, I splurged on the parts or the accessories because I knew those were going to go onto another bow in the future. So really, at some point I'll probably hop into one of those higher end bows. But for now, I think this is doing just fine for what I needed to. $5.99, you really cannot beat. You cannot beat this bow for that price. So if you're interested in doing some sort of target, you want to get into competition shooting, you don't want to switch your bows up like I didn't want to, or switch up the accessories on your bows like I didn't want to, and you want to get something relatively cheap, splurge on the accessories, but know that you can get by with just a cheaper bare bow for the time being until you get your feet wet in that world of the competitions, indoor and 3D. All in all, this bow itself with all the accessories was around like $1,200 to $1,300, which right there is still cheaper than just a bare bow of one of those higher end brands. The Bowtechs, the Hoyts, the Matthews, the Elites. It's still cheaper with all the accessories than what those were, and it shoots just as well. After shooting some of the other ones, yeah, they have some niceties. The tuning capabilities of them are pretty easy to use with the quick tunes, but for the price, I really don't think you can beat this Daibow Reliance. Pretty well built product. Again, everything works the way it should. Shoots really smooth. But it's a great bow for someone that's trying to get into that competition world. Again, 38-inch axle to axle. I have it set to 60 pounds with a 30-inch draw, so the arrows are shooting exactly where they need. Hopefully this video helped somebody out that was trying to get into competition shooting but didn't want to drop $2,000, $3,000 on a setup, so they didn't have to change their hunting setup at all. Hopefully someone can get a little bit of use out of this. I'm not really sure where to find these bows online. Again, they have them in the shop, the local shop that I go to, so I ended up just snagging it up there. When doing research online, there's obviously places you can buy it, but see if they can send them to your local shop just to help you get it set up and fit to you. As we all know, that's what's going to work the best, is when they fit it to you instead of just buying it online. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe. If you didn't, still like and subscribe, but shoot a comment out saying you didn't like it and what can be better. Again, hopefully somebody gets something useful out of this, whether it be some of the accessories, some of the goods, bads, or just the bare bow itself, looking for a cheaper option. Alright, have a good one.